This video is sponsored by Squarespace. This is the Lumix TZ99 or ZS99 depending on where you are in the world. It's a new-ish sort of kind of compact camera that Lumix have brought out recently. It's a bit of a weird one. So let's get into it. Just to set your expectations, this is not an all singing, all dancing brand new camera. It's very heavily influenced by a previous model, and I think the defining reason for this camera's existence is to upgrade to a USB-C port so that it can continue to be sold in the EU. But there are some upgrades and differences that are worth exploring, so let's see how it gets on. I think it is a stylish little number. We have a cute little flippy up screen, usual bells and whistles. It's quite nice in the hand. But the main selling point, in my opinion, is this absolutely obscene zoom. It gives you a 720mm full frame equivalent. So 30 times zoom, which is a plus point if zoom is what you're looking for. It's not often what I'm looking for in a small camera, to be honest. I would value a more standard focal length with a faster, more versatile lens, because when we are shooting at such long focal lengths, something's got to give, and that unfortunately is the aperture. This is an f3.3 to f6.4 variable aperture, and then at the narrow end, it only goes up to a maximum of f8 as well. And there is an absolutely dinky 1/2.3 inch CMOS sensor in this. It is 20 megapixels, so quite pixel dense, even though the sensor is tiny. And because the sensor is so tiny, we do have such an incredible crop factor, which allows us to have so much zoom. Now, the lens itself is Leica branded, but I think it's like the Leica branded lens on the LX10, for example, is stunning. This one is Leica branded, but because it is narrower and there's more zoom and the sensor is so small, I don't think the image quality is anywhere near as good as it is on some other premium compacts that I have used. And the beady-eyed amongst you will notice that there is no viewfinder anymore, whereas the camera that it was based on did have a viewfinder. And that's a shame, because I think one of the biggest demographics for this sort of camera is the holiday snapper. You know, the dad cam, the family cam that you can just get anyone in the family to grab. It's dead easy to use and you can all share it. You've got zoom in case you see a lizard on the wall in Benidorm. You know, you've got those sorts of environments to think about, and those are traditionally very, very, very blooming bright. So while the back screen is nice and bright, I do think it was a misstep from Lumix to omit the EVF. What's the model number that this is based on? The TZ95? The TZ95. So needless to say, with the tiny little sensor and the not so generous aperture, we don't expect miracles in low light. It's not the most versatile camera in terms of lighting scenarios, but it does make up for that with the zoom. I suppose it's like pick your poison. Do you want versatile zoom or do you want better low light performance? I know which camp I'm in, but I don't think this camera is necessarily aimed towards camera nerds. I think it's aimed towards everyday people, and perhaps those people on TikTok that keep buying all the old compact cameras that are objectively crap and, you know, vibing off the quality. I don't know how much vibes this has. But yeah, we'll check them out. We'll check out the hashtag vibes in the photos. Not to disparage this camera too much, there is a lot to love. It's got full manual control options and it does shoot RAW. And we do have all the lovely bells and whistles within the Lumix ecosystem, like 4K photo mode for some burst modes and time-lapse modes as well. There is stabilization, 5-axis stabilization on every single mode but 4K video. So even though the word vlogging is in a lot of the promo material for this camera, this is not a vlogging camera. Not the stickiest autofocus, is it? And is that a crop I see? Yeah, that's quite a big crop. The focus I found very snappy for photos, but for video, it's not the one. So as you can see as well, we are dealing with a 4K crop, which is a 1.5 crop. It's just punching into the middle 8 megapixels of this tiny little sensor. So definitely not for vlogging, despite it having the flippy up screen to suggest that maybe it could be. If you wanted a premium compact that does have decent stabilization and decent video features, I would definitely look at the LX10/LX15, and the camera nerd in me wishes they'd refreshed that line so much more than this line, but there must be method to the madness. This might be a camera that sells very well in shops. You know, people just walk into a local camera shop, want something simple, versatile. It's got big numbers next to it saying 30 times zoom, and then people will buy it. That's my theory. So there is an onboard flash, as you can see. It doesn't pop up, but you're definitely just gonna hide it. Yeah. I've got tiny hands and I'm hiding the flash, so that's a very bewildering placement, but at least it does have a flash. One thing I actually really love about this camera, and one thing that I love about the LX10 as well, is it does have a macro mode. It's not really like a one-to-one macro mode. It just means that the minimal focus distance of this lens will be reduced so you can get closer to your subject. In Costa Rica, I got some butterfly shots with the macro mode in the LX10. So I think it's one of those features where I'm like, I'm never going to use that. And then you blooming do. So yeah, for holidays and taking photos of those lizards on the wall, the macro mode is going to be really handy. And you just access it by pressing left on the spinny wheel of doom. Speaking of the spinny wheel of doom, we have things to love and things not to love. The front has a cute little twisty dial, which is very versatile. I have this set, as you can probably hear. I have it set to control the zoom because using the traditional thing on the top gives me like camcorder vibes and I'm not into it. So it feels like it's more of an authentic camera experience for me if I use that. But you can change that to be your aperture control or your shutter speed control or whatever you fancy. There's loads of different options in the menu. So that means we rely on the spinny wheel of doom on the back much less, which is always a plus point as far as I'm concerned. In the scene mode, there are some good, useful options for beginners. So we have backlit, and then the one that made me giggle so much was one called Sweet Child's Face. If you want your child to have a sweet face, you've got to use that preset. And then we have nightscape, clear blue sky, glowing landscape, and artistic nightscape. So it looks like if you stick this on a tripod, you'll be able to get some light trails as well. So I do think if you were an absolute beginner, a beginner to the point where maybe you're not on camera YouTube at all, this could be quite an interesting camera to sort of be a gateway into other cameras. Let's put this tiny little zoom to the test. I'm going out to watch Greg Davis tonight, and I'm going to try and smuggle this into the venue and take some photographs of him on stage, and hopefully I won't get kicked out. So yeah, if that works, cut to me cackling maniacally in the venue. In terms of weight, it's only 332 grams. So this, again, it really speaks to me as like pocket camera, dad camera, family holiday camera. Really innocuous to just chuck in a pocket or a bag for the day and grab it and go. So let's talk about price. It is a brand new camera. So if you are wary about buying used and you want the peace of mind of being able to walk into a shop and get one, you want the standard 12-month warranty or whatever, new is sometimes very appealing to people. New, this goes for £469. I don't know, if you walk into a shop and you're wooed by the 30 times zoom, I can see how this seems like very good value for money. And generally, there's not very many other cameras that offer that much zoom at that much price. But in terms of pure image quality, the camera nerd in me would urge someone to buy something different, like a used LX10, for example. But I will say, I am not the target audience for this camera. I am a camera nerd and I want as much image quality as I can possibly pack into a small camera, and zoom does not woo me. But I can totally see how this would woo certain people. I think I am being a little bit critical of the price. I mean, the Sony RX100 line has a larger sensor, but very compact like this, and that still goes for over £1,000. So that's over twice the price of this. So it clearly has a place in the camera market. I just don't think it has a place personally in my camera lineup. I am still a little bit hung up on the fact that they've taken off the EVF, because if this is a travel zoom. The TZ in the name stands for travel zoom, should tell you all you need to know. I think you need an EVF in bright, sunny summer family holidays. And it's a bit of a misstep to take that away because it didn't make the camera any bigger, but maybe it made it cheaper to manufacture. So yeah, I do think premium compacts are making a comeback, but I don't think this is the model that's going to pioneer that. What I would love to see is a brand new LX10 or an LX15. That Leica lens on that blew me away. The video features are actually excellent. And if you just stuck better autofocus in that camera, it would be a contender for like a photo video hybrid everyday carry. It's a great premium compact. This is not geared towards that audience, unfortunately, but I do think it'll be a great fit for certain people. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think premium compacts are going to make a comeback? And if so, what would you like to see? Squarespace couldn't make it easier for you if you are looking to build your own website. They have AI tools that will give you color schemes and font pairings, even sort out the layouts of all of your page. All you need to do is just click what sort of catches your eye, and then Squarespace will do the rest for you. It's really as simple as dragging and dropping. If you ever wanted to sell your own photo prints or perhaps your own merchandise, you can do that through your own website as well. But if you're not at that stage yet, it doesn't matter. You could start at a simple level that Squarespace offer and just have a blog. Just maybe have a landing page and show your own portfolio. And then if you want to expand your horizons as you go, Squarespace can grow with you. And that's why I've stuck with them for absolute years. Even from my first wedding portfolio website, it was always on Squarespace. And God, I've been doing that for a long time. So have a tinker using the link in the description. And if you are ready to buy, you can use code microphonenerds for some money off your first purchase.